like I need it. And we may have some history, but we don't have to repeat it. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I'm gonna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to the Sports Reporter of the SJP Files. I am your host, SJP. You just call me Jay. You know how this works. Today is Wednesday, June 16th. I usually do this show Monday or Tuesday, but this week I was at work and coming off like an 8-day stretch. So me recording yesterday just wasn't feasible. I was exhausted. So today is a very, very special day in the NBA. Well, not today, more like last night. Last night was amazing for basketball fans. Now, for those of you who are, I want to say, consistent listeners on the show, you know how I feel about the Brooklyn Nets. You know how I feel about the players of the Brooklyn Nets. I was born in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I am a Nets fan. And when they moved to Brooklyn, I moved with them. Been a Nets fan my whole life. I love basketball. It's the sport I talk about most on this podcast. But let's be clear. I may love the Brooklyn Nets. I've never been overly fond of the Brooklyn Nets players. I didn't like James Harden's style. I could appreciate it on an intellectual level when it comes to basketball. I can look at his style of play and go, okay, I understand how he plays. I understand how he plays the game. I don't love looking at it because it's too much iso ball. Not that iso ball is a bad thing, but it's a little too much iso ball with the way that their offense ran. So I didn't love it. When James Harden came to Brooklyn, he really changed his style. A lot more passing, a lot more distributing. He was running the offense with Kyrie playing off guard and Kevin Durant just being Kevin Durant. Now, with that being said, the other two guys on this team, Kyrie Irving, fantastic player, maybe he is the most skilled ball handler that the NBA has ever seen, but he just says shit that is so wild that it legitimately makes me want to strangle him. His flat earth nonsense, his I don't talk to pawns media shit. I can't. Kyrie Irving is one of those guys who, I don't know if you know this much about Kyrie. I don't know if you know one of these people. Kyrie is one of those guys he's smart but thinks he's a genius. You know what I mean? He's a guy who thinks he's the smartest person in every room he walks into. He may be intelligent. I think he's a very intelligent human being. I think he says some insightful stuff sometimes. But other times, he acts like the smartest guy in the room when he's not. He's a guy with like a 120 IQ who thinks his IQ is like 170. It's very irritating and slightly condescending, honestly. He's got that kind of bit of a condescending personality a little bit, and it's very irritating. As for Kevin Durant, now Kevin's a troll. Kevin Durant's a troll, which I don't mind because I'm a troll also. My issue with Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant's on my shit list of NBA players, along with guys like Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns and Ben Simmons. Yeah, Kevin Durant's on that shit list of guys. And the reason Kevin Durant's on that shit list is, and it's not entirely his fault. Some of it's his fault. A lot of it's his fault, actually. But one of the reasons he's on my shit list is the whole Golden State situation. Some of it's his, like I said, some of it's his fault and some of it's not. Part of the fact that it's his fault is him going to Golden State. Him going to Golden State was one of the weakest moves by any superstar in NBA history. Mainly because you had them beat. You had them down 3-1. And I know the whole situation in Oklahoma City, you and Russ, you guys, your personalities didn't match. You had the game, but you didn't really have the alpha personality. Maybe not back then. I still don't think you have it now. You got an alpha's game, but I don't know if you have that alpha dog personality like LeBron and MJ and Kobe and those other guys and Dame, like those guys in the league. I think you definitely have that game. I just don't know if he has that personality. Now, with that being said, some of it is also not his fault. Like, him going to Golden State is something that a lot of the talking heads in the NBA and NBA commentary kind of look over. They look over it in a way that really, really irritates me. Because 10 years later, over 10 years later, we still give LeBron James shit for going to Miami. Even though that Miami team, before he got there, I think had lost in like the first round the previous year. It wasn't like he had gone to a team that he beat in the playoffs. He didn't go to a team he lost to in the playoffs. He didn't go to the team he lost to in the finals. He went to a team that was still kind of in like a championship hangover from their championship in 06? They were in like that championship, like 06, 07, I think. They were in that like a championship hangover for a couple years there. Shaq was done. Dwayne Wade was getting pummeled. Team wasn't, they were good but not great. They were getting to the playoff, but they were getting beat in the first and second round. LeBron James went down there with Chris Bosh. They formed the Big Three, went to the finals 4 straight times, won 2 championships. And people still give LeBron shit for that. LeBron James goes back to Cleveland. He forms another essentially super team with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. And they go to the finals 4 straight times, win a championship, come back down from 3-1. And we still give LeBron shit for that. We still, the narrative that LeBron James isn't clutch is a fallacy that to this day, that until he retires and we actually go back and look when his highlights start popping up of LeBron James's greatest moments, that's when people will realize, oh my God, he actually was clutch. No shit, Sherlock. But that being said, what Kevin Durant did last night was exactly what I wanted to see him do. What Kevin Durant did last night was absurd. Was absolutely absurd. Kevin Durant scored 49 points last night. 49 points. I believe it was 15 rebounds, 10 assists. Let me check the full game stats to make sure. 17 rebounds, my bad. 49 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. He did have 3 fouls, but Kevin Durant was 16 for 23 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, 13 of 16 from the free throw line. Like I said, 17 rebounds, 10 assists, 49 points. And Kevin Durant played all, and here's the most impressive part of this. Here's probably the most impressive part of this. Kevin Durant played all 48 minutes. From start to finish, Kevin Durant played all 48 minutes in this game. He went wire to wire, buzzer to buzzer, no stop in between. Now, I think that Steve Nash made some tactical errors in this game, especially playing James Harden. But his tactical errors weren't as bad as Mike Budenholzer's tactical errors. I don't know if you've been listening to sports talk all day today, but we gonna make it out. James Harden shouldn't play this game. He played 45 minutes on the court. He was 1 for 10 from the field, 8 0 for 8 from 3. He did hit 3 free throws. He did have 8 assists, which was great. 6 rebounds. He only had 5 points. He shouldn't have been out there tonight. He should not have been out there. And Mike Budenholzer and the Milwaukee Bucks should have made the Brooklyn Nets pay for putting him out there, and they didn't. They didn't attack him. They didn't go at him. It's insane to think that you can have a guy out there on the court who could not move laterally, and you didn't attack him. And every time they did attack him, like the 1 or 2 times it actually happened, when Drew Holiday actually went at James Harden, got to the rim very easily because the Nets have no interior defense. Giannis Antetokounmpo played well, I guess. 14 for 22, 2 for 4 from 3, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 34 points. Chris Middleton gave you 25 points. Brook Lopez 15, Drew Holiday 19. Drew Holiday should have had more than 19 points. Drew Holiday, honestly, they should have given the ball to Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday should have played James Harden off the floor last night. The fact that James Harden could play 45 minutes essentially on one leg is insane to me. It's insane. It's this series is going to get Mike Budenholzer fired. This series is going to get him fired because they're going to lose this series. Because Kevin Durant, I saw Kevin Durant have this in him. I know Giannis said he wants to guard Kevin Durant in Game 6. Not Game 6, Game 7. Yeah, Game 6. He wants to guard Kevin Durant in Game 6 in Milwaukee. He should have been guarding Kevin Durant tonight. What's that Defensive Player of the Year award for, man? You should have been guarding him all night. Because he was the only offense. And you have other guys. You got Chris Middleton. You got Drew Holiday. You got Brook Lopez. You got Pat Connaughton and Brian Forbes coming off the bench. I do not understand how this happened. I do not understand how the Bucks lost this game. And the Bucks were up. I want to say, what were the scores? It was like, 59, I believe, to 43. So they were up by 16 points at halftime. They were up 16 points at halftime. They should have won this game going away. Kevin Durant had 18 points in the first half. James Harden, 0 points. Joe Harris, 3 points. Blake Griffin, 7 points. Jeff Green came off the bench with 15 points. He was the second best player for the Nets last night. But I don't understand how you dominate the first half and in the second half you do not go at James Harden. James Harden played 23 minutes in the second half. You should have been going at him all night long. He should not have been playing more than 15 minutes in this game instead of playing like 45. He shouldn't have been playing more than 15 to 20 minutes before Steve Nash realized, oh, James Harden can't guard anyone. And James Harden's not a great perimeter defender when he's healthy. He was unplayable on defense last night, and the Milwaukee Bucks did not make the Nets pay for it. With the injury to Kyrie Irving and the hobbled James Harden, the Milwaukee Bucks should have won this game. But this was a career-defining game for Kevin Durant. This is the best game he has ever played in his career. Better than any game he played in OKC. Better than any game he played in Golden State. This is a I'm the best player in the world type of performance from Kevin Durant. This is one of those Kevin Durant, and if Kevin Durant can do this in Game 6 in Milwaukee and close out the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee with another performance like this, Kevin Durant will have made his case that he will add another notch on the I'm the best player in the world. Now, I don't actually believe he's the best player in the world. I think a healthy LeBron James is still arguably the best player in the world. Don't get me started on Kawhi Leonard. I like Kawhi. I like Kawhi's game. I don't like the talk around Kawhi when people were anointing Kawhi Leonard the best player in the world last year and the year before. I didn't think he had earned it. last year. I thought the two best players in the league, I think I'd put Kawhi Leonard definitely. I'm trying to think if Kawhi's in my top 5. Because my top 5 probably goes something like LeBron, Durant, Davis when he's healthy, which is almost never for extended periods of time, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic. I'd probably put him 5th. Yeah, I would probably put him 5th on my best player in the league thing. On my best player in the league, I'd probably put him 5th. I like Dame more offensively, but Kawhi's a better defender. He's a better on-ball defender. He's a better weak side defender. He's just a better defender, period, because Dame don't play defense. But yeah, I would give him, I would say 5th or 6th. 5th or 6th, depending on my mood that day, with how great Dame Lillard is. Yeah, I'd go 6th. I'd probably go 5th or 6th. But that's not the point. Or 7th, because I think Anthony Davis is better than him when he's healthy. I think AD, I would take AD over Kawhi healthy. If I could get... And they're both, and neither one of them are overly, healthy. So yeah, I would take AD over him. So probably like 7. He's definitely top 10 with top 5 talent. But you can only have because people say top 5 guy, top 5 guy, top 5 guy, and they're like, yo, he's a top 5 guy, and you're listing like 10 guys. There are guys who are top 5 talent, but aren't actually top 5 players because there are 5 or 6 or 7 guys who are better than them. That's just how it is. But back to the Nets. If Kevin Durant can lead this team with the injuries, because James Harden, I don't think Harden's going to be healthy anytime soon. That hammy, and I said this before after game 2, if they go back to Brooklyn, tied 2-2, James Harden was going to play this game. And he did play this game. He wasn't effective. He does not, like I said, no lateral movement whatsoever. Hopefully he can get a little bit healthier by the time this series ends. But Kyrie's done for this series with that bad ankle sprain he got in game 4 in Milwaukee. That ankle sprain. Now, I know people are talking. Giannis did not intentionally hurt him. What happened between those two was not intentional by Giannis. Giannis did not intentionally hurt James Harden. Not James Harden. He did not intentionally hurt Kyrie Irving. He went on there for a rebound, tried to box out Kyrie, and if you really look at the replay, Kyrie's foot doesn't actually touch Giannis's foot. I mean, when his ankle touches the ground, he touches Giannis's foot. But he doesn't touch Giannis's foot. That's not on him. That's not on him at all. But Bucks won Game 4, 107-96. Kyrie Irving did put Giannis's brother on the floor, put him down on all fours. What's his name? Giannis Antetokounmpo put him down on all fours. It was wild. It was crazy. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. Like I said, I love best ball handler in history in the NBA. His skill is unreasonable how good he is. It's unreasonable how great of a ball handler Kyrie Irving is. But with that being said, Game 6 is in... Shit, I'm trying to remember where the hell Game 6... When Game 6... Game 6 is tomorrow night on ESPN in Milwaukee. And after what I saw from the Bucks tonight and the ineptitude of Mike Budenholzer's coaching, I have no true inclination that I don't think Kevin Durant can do this again. The Milwaukee Bucks did not guard Kevin Durant, did not double team Kevin Durant all night long. Also, Kev, I gotta see Kevin Durant. I still love. I don't know why he didn't like the nickname Slim Reaper. I love that nickname. That nickname sound dangerous. The Slim Reaper. I'm gonna call him that. He the Slim Reaper. Shout out to the Slim Reaper, Kevin Durant. Bruh, man. Your hair. You gotta do something with your hair, guy. You balding. Your hairline receding. You got a big old patch like in the middle of your head, like this dude that I know at work. I ain't gonna say his name because he might listen to the show. But my guy, KD, you ain't got a full head of hair, man. You need to do just hair for men. You need to get some hair plugs put in, my guy, or get a haircut. Go bald. I don't care what you do, but you got to figure out a way to do something with that hair. Because I'm tired of looking at it, my guy. I'm tired of looking at it. Put a headband on. Put a do-rag on. See if they're legal. Let you put a do-rag on court. Because you need a haircut. Go bald. Go bald. I used to say the same thing with LeBron James. My guy, you ain't got no hair. It's okay. Go with the beard. Well, you ain't really got a beard either. You can't really grow facial hair like that. But still, do something with your hair, AD. KD, you need to do something with your hair. Slim Reaper. He was giving the Nets the business last night. It was wild. It was wild to watch. I rewatched this game this morning. This game was incredible for Kevin Durant. I'm still watching highlights right now of it. He was incredible. He could not be stopped on the court whatsoever. No, tactical error by the Milwaukee Bucks for not double teaming him at all. But Kevin Durant went out there. You knew he was going. You knew he had to score. He knew he had to score, and there was nothing the Bucks could do to stop him. He is making a legitimate case for, hey, I'm the best player in the world currently. Not next year when LeBron James is a year older. I'm the best player today. And I want my damn respect. Now, as much as I love Kevin Durant's game, he's still on my shit list. I never wear Kevin Durant shoes. Another reason why I'm not overly fond of Kevin Durant, because I feel like him going to Golden State stole a couple rings from LeBron James. People forget how good those Cleveland Cavaliers teams were that lost to that KD Durant, that KD Warriors team. That Kevin Durant, that Cavaliers team, especially the second one that got swept, they were better than the one that came back down from 3-1. And if that had been the same Golden State team, LeBron has 5, maybe heading to. I think LeBron probably 3-peats in that span. Because without Kevin Durant on that Warriors team, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers beat any team coming out of the Western Conference, assuming Kyrie can get his head out of his ass and doesn't ask for a trade in the middle of a championship run. That would have been wild if Kyrie had if they had won that second championship, gone back to back, and then Kyrie asked for a trade instead of attempting to 3-peat, because Kyrie hasn't done much in the playoffs without LeBron James. His time in Boston did not go well, and his time in Brooklyn hadn't started off great. That being said, we're going to move on to the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers, who have played essentially 4 games, I think, since my last episode of this show. I think my last episode was last Tuesday. So they've played 4 games in this series. It's tied 2-2. The Clippers lost games 1 and 2 in Utah, like I thought they would. I didn't think they would. I didn't think they would go down 2-2. I thought this series would go 6 or 7, with Clippers winning, which it still might go, but Kawhi hurt his knee in Game 4. So even though Kawhi's been playing well and Paul George didn't show up for the first 2 games, they blew out Utah in Game 3 and Game 4. Donovan Mitchell with an ankle injury that's bothering him. Kawhi Leonard is going to miss Game 5 with a knee injury, so I expect Utah to win tonight in dominant fashion, because I'm not one of those. Paul George is another one of those dudes who's on my shit list. Yo, funny story. I was listening to what was that new ESPN show in the morning. It's Jay Will, Keyshawn Johnson, and that other dude whose name I don't remember. They had Kendrick Perkins on, and Perk was talking about the All NBA He Is Who He Is award. He is who he is first team. And there are a couple guys on that team. I might do this every single year though. But the All NBA He Is Who He Is first team. Paul George is on the first team. Anthony Davis. Now some of these guys who are on this team it's for good reasons and for bad reasons. Like, I think I got my five. My five: Anthony Davis, Paul George, Ben Simmons, Andrew Wiggins would have been on this team last year if I had done this. That's my three. That's three of my guys right there. Kyrie Irving. And I want to say Karl Anthony Towns. I think those are my five. They are who they are award. For Karl Anthony Towns, he's going to give you 25 and 12 every year. The problem is you ain't going to make the playoffs. He's got alpha game and beta personality. Nobody has ever told him that, hey, what we doing? As for Ben Simmons is never going to learn how to shoot. Ben Simmons, he is who he is at this point in his career. He's done. I'm done with Ben Simmons. I am so done with Ben Simmons. It's irritating how fucking over Ben Simmons I am. What Ben Simmons did in Game 4 was egregious. Egregious. Ben Simmons took 0 shots in the fourth quarter of a close game. Joel Embiid was horrendous in the second half, and you could not count on Ben Simmons to put the ball in the hole. 1 second. All right, we're back from break. Sorry about that. Pizza just came in. Starving. But, where the fuck was I? Yeah. Shitting on Ben Simmons. That's where I was. Let's be real about this. My issue with Ben Simmons is not the very simple fact that Ben Simmons can't or won't shoot. The Philadelphia 76ers have been in denial for the last, I want to say 2 to 3 years. Ben Simmons has been in the league, 4 years? Just signed a contract extension. He's been in the league about 4 to 5 years, I believe. I think he got drafted like 6 years ago. His contract extension just came up. He's going to be making 30, like 32, 34, 36, something like $40 million, I think, the last year of his contract. 76ers cannot win a championship with both of these guys on this team. And if you can win a championship, you got to make some serious trades. First of all, I like Tobias Harris, but you have your number one in Joel Embiid. He's your number one. Your number one guy is a guy who is a perennial MVP candidate every single year. Your number one guy is the guy who you trust is going to show up night in, night out. Most nights, he is going to be there. And by most nights, I mean like 95% of the time. Ew. Joel Embiid is going to show up and show out. That is what you get from Joel Embiid. That is what you expect from Joel Embiid. That is the Joel Embiid you got in Game 4. That's the Joel Embiid you got in, not Game 4, Game 3. That's the Joel Embiid you got in Game 2. Hell, that's the Joel Embiid you got in Game 1. Joel Embiid had a bad game in Game 4. Not entirely his fault. He had a really bad second half. Could not find his jump shot in the second half. Shout out to Atlanta Hawks defense for giving him problems. Joe Collins rotating on defense. John Collins. I don't know why I say Joe. But John Collins rotating on defense. Trae Young also didn't have a great shooting night. He was 8 for 26. Ben Simmons has been giving him hell on the defensive end. But Ben Simmons is a liability on offense. He is. He's a liability on offense. He's a liability late in games. Why is your point guard in the key moments of a game in the dunker spot and not handling the ball. I'll tell you why. Because he can't shoot. He can't shoot. He won't shoot. And every single offseason, for like the last 3 years, we get video of Ben Simmons shooting in the gym. And Ben Simmons shooting at practice. And Ben Simmons just working on his shot. And every single year, he comes back into the season and plays the exact same way. Happened last year. Happened the year before that. And the year before that. You can't win with these two guys being your top two. You can't. Joel Embiid is your number one. But problem is, Joel Embiid has the Anthony Davis issue. He can't stay healthy. When he's healthy, he's one of the 5 best players in the league. Problem is, he's not always healthy. And as for Ben Simmons, let me tell you an uncomfortable truth. This actually, hell with uncomfortable truth. This is a hot take. Ben Simmons is not a number 2. He's not. He's not a 2. He's a 3. If Ben Simmons is your number 2, you're not winning a ring. You're not winning a championship with Ben Simmons as your number 2. He's a fantastic defender. He's become a better defender since he stepped into the league. He's become a better ball handler. He's become a better passer. He's become probably a better rebounder. But he plays the exact same way. His inability to shoot 6 years into the league. At least Giannis is willing to put up the shot. Ben Simmons won't shoot. Can't shoot, won't shoot. And I cannot abide that on a championship team. If he's your number 2, you can't win. If he's your number 3, I think you could win a ring. But you need a like Bradley Beal type number 2. A guy who can shoot off the ball, who can move off the ball. Guy who could take over the game, who doesn't need to be in the paint, can do it from the perimeter. From beyond the 3-point line, I think Bradley Beal would be perfect for the 76ers. Problem is, no chance they get him. Because if I'm Washington, if you want Bradley Beal, I want Ben Simmons. If I'm Washington and you want Bradley Beal, I want Ben Simmons. I think Bradley Beal is the perfect guy to play alongside Joel Embiid. I think he's perfect. And you had a number 2 when you had a number 1 in Jimmy Butler. Number 1A, 1B type guy in Jimmy Butler when he was in Philly. And Ben, you didn't have to worry about Ben Simmons shooting because you had a guy who could dominate from the perimeter. You had a cold-blooded assassin in Jimmy Butler. But now you stuck with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and everybody can see Ben Simmons can't shoot, won't shoot. He is who he is. He is first team. He is who he is guy. That's who Ben Simmons is. And until Ben Simmons gets a jump shot, if you insist on keeping these two guys together, until Ben Simmons gets a jump shot, you're not winning a championship with these two. Either he gets through a jump shot, or you find a way to flip Tobias Harris and maybe Matthias Thybulle and some draft picks for a solid number 2, like for a guy who can really get you buckets on a consistent basis like a Bradley Beal. Other than that, I'm done with Philly. There's a good chance Philly goes home. I still think they win this series probably in 7. But with the way they're playing with the way they're playing, I would not be shocked if Atlanta wins this series, which is astounding to me. I didn't think Atlanta was going to get out the first round, and now they might have a chance to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're not going to the NBA Finals. They're not getting past even a depleted Brooklyn team or a Milwaukee team. Now back to I was talking about the Clippers before I hit that side note to Ben Simmons. Paul George showed up in games 3 and 4. The Clippers blew out the Jazz 132-106 in game 3, 118-104 in game 4. The Jazz won close games in Utah. We're at game 5 in Utah tonight. Kawhi Leonard is not going to be playing tonight with a knee injury, which sucks. Which sucks for Kawhi. But Kawhi is another one of the 10 best players in the league. But I don't know if I put Kyrie on the he is who he is first team for two reasons. One, his personality. He gonna say some shit that makes you scratch your head from time to time. That's Kyrie being Kyrie, and he's going to get hurt. Kawhi Leonard's at the point of his career where he's another one of those guys. He's probably second team, actually third team. He is who he is. He's going to get hurt. He's going to take 20 games off. He's not going to make it through an entire year healthy. Completely 100% healthy. I don't think he can do it anymore. Whatever happened in San Antonio, like, it did some like structural damage to Kawhi Leonard. He will never be 100% ever again. And as for Paul George's first team, he is who he is. Paul George is going to fluctuate between playoff P and way off P in a series. That's just how it is. Paul George is going to be either playoff P or way off P. Way off P is going to show up at least 2 games in a series. And when you're fighting to win a championship, you cannot have your second best player shoot 4 for 17 in multiple games in a series. He was 4 for 17 in game 1. He was 8 for 18 in game 2, which isn't horrible. 44% from the field. That's good. That's good ball. But in game 3, you got playoff beat. 12 for 24, 31 points. In game 4, you got 31 points. 9 for 20, 45% from the field. 4 for 10 from 3. You got playoff P in game 3 and game 4. You got way off P in game 1. And now the pressure is squarely on him. I'm not expecting a Kevin Durant level game from Paul George. I'm not expecting playoff P to the umpteenth degree tonight against the Utah Jazz. That's just not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Utah should blow the Clippers off the court tonight. They should blow them off the court tonight. This should not be close. This should be game 3 level domination from the Utah Jazz. Utah got blown out in game 3 of this series. They should be blowing out the Clippers in game 4 and game 5 tonight. And that's what I want to see. I want to see Donovan Mitchell put his foot on the neck of the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, with that being said, this is probably the most shocking thing. The MVP got swept. I'd been paying attention to this series, but I didn't realize that the Phoenix Suns were up 3-0. I thought Denver had won a game. Apparently they did not. Phoenix swept the Denver Nuggets. The MVP of the league, Nikola Jokic, got swept in the second round. I already talked about game 1 on my last show. Game 2, they lost 98 to 123. Game 3, 116 to 102, and Game 4, 125 to 118. And do not be fooled, the game was not as close as the score may indicate. I know it was an 8-point game, 8-point win from the Suns, and game 1 that close. This was a complete domination by the Phoenix Suns. And before today, I'm one of those guys champion. Oh man, CP gonna get himself a ring this year. With the Brooklyn Nets not being healthy, I still don't trust the Milwaukee Bucks. The Philadelphia 76ers are not going to win a championship with Ben Simmons being your number 2 guy. That's just not gonna happen. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. They're terrible. He's terrible. He is an offensive liability. And I trust Chris Paul and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Monty Williams to be better coach, to play better and have a better game plan than I trust Doc Rivers and the Philadelphia 76ers, who have been in denial for years on the relationship between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons' inability to grow a jump shot. His inability to grow a jump shot seriously makes me question his desire to win. I don't think he cares. I honestly don't think he cares. I just think he's out there to look cool. He plays because I don't think he plays because he loves it. I think he plays because he just happens to be very, very good at it. You know what Ben Simmons with a jump shot is? LeBron James. Ben Simmons with a jump shot is a younger, longer, taller LeBron James. Ben Simmons with a jump shot is, he's got better handles than LeBron. He's longer than LeBron. He's 2 inch. I think he's like 2 inches taller than LeBron. I don't think he's the freak athlete LeBron was, but he's still a freak athlete in his own right. That's what Ben Simmons with a jump shot is. Ben Simmons with a jump shot is LeBron James, arguably the greatest player ever. Without question, one of the 2 greatest players ever. 4 MVPs, 4 championships, 4 finals MVPs, 10 finals trips, 8 straight finals trips. He's been on the All-NBA team longer than Michael Jordan was in the league. First team All-NBA teams. This year, he was on the second team All-NBA. That's what Ben Simmons with a jump shot is. He's LeBron James. He's a slightly bigger LeBron James, which is wild to say because LeBron James is fucking huge. And I don't think Ben cares. I don't think he cares at all. But Nikola Jokic getting swept in this series is shocking to me. I thought Jokic would at least be able to get one game. And he did get tossed out in game 4 for that flagrant 2 on Cameron Payne, which wasn't a flagrant 2. It was a flagrant 1. He went for the ball. He swiped down at the ball, and he grazed Cameron Payne's face. Now, shout out to Cameron Payne. He sold that shit like a motherfucker. Out there writhing on the ground, rolling around like he just got hit with a chair by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Or he was handcuffed and got hit in the head with a steel chair by The Rock at the Royal Rumble in that I Quit match. But I can't. But Jokic won the MVP. Now, I believe I've said this on this podcast before. I'm not a fan of the NBA's MVP voting. I don't like that it's publicized. I think Jokic should have won the MVP, but it shouldn't have been a landslide win. Because there were other guys who deserved consideration for that MVP award. Joel Embiid deserved more consideration for that MVP award. Chris Paul deserved more consideration for that MVP award. Hell, Kawhi Leonard deserved more consideration for that MVP award. And I don't even like the Clippers. Jokic should not have been the runaway MVP just because he was healthy. He had a great year. But there were other guys whose years were just as good. The only difference is he played more games than them. He was more consistent because he was healthier. But I do not like the fact that he won running away. Because when your MVP wins running away and then you get swept in the second round, I don't care. I don't care that Jamal Murray wasn't playing. Nikola Jokic couldn't even get you a game, and he was your runaway MVP this year. That looks bad for voters. Voting should be made confidential once again, and hopefully you get real, like a real MVP breakdown instead of this consensus bullshit. Now, with that being said, the Phoenix Suns are waiting in the Western Conference Finals for the winner of the Utah Jazz and the LA Clippers. Slight issue with that is Chris Paul got COVID-19. Chris Paul got the vid. He's in safety protocol, and he's been sidelined for an indefinite period of time. And by indefinite period of time, so I'm going to need the Clippers and the Utah Jazz to stretch this series out as much as possible. Because I do not want my Clippers. I don't want not my Clippers. Get the fuck out of here. I meant the Suns. My Suns. I love the Phoenix. I want old man CP to get a ring. But I do not want the Clippers and the Jazz to end after like 6 games. So I'm going to need playoff P to show up for a couple games so they get stretched this out to 7. Because they play tonight. And then I'm assuming they'd either play Friday or Saturday for game 6. And then I'm assuming they'd play Sunday or Monday for game 7. Probably Sunday. With game 6. Game 5. Yeah, game 5's tonight. So game 6 would be Friday. At the earliest this series would start, if it goes 7, I'm assuming the earliest this series would start would probably be next Wednesday. That's 7 days with a game every other day. So hopefully we can get CP back into these COVID protocols so we got to deal with this nonsense. Because I cannot believe Chris Paul might lose a championship, a shot at a championship because he got COVID-19. Hopefully this is just contract tasting. And he'll be back by the time this season starts. If this ends on, let's see. If the Jazz Clippers ends Friday, which would be today's game 5, game 6, game 1 would start Sunday. If this goes 7, game 1 would start probably Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday. Tuesday or Wednesday, which would be fantastic. I hope Chris Paul can get back on the court because this sucks. Said it before, Kawhi Leonard missing game 5 with a knee injury. Tweaked his knee in game 4. We got other reports. Scott Brooks parts ways with the Washington Wizards, which isn't shocking because even though the Wizards did make the playoffs, they got beat in the first round, and this series and this season didn't start off fantastic. So I'm not surprised that Brooks got let go. It appears they couldn't come to an agreement on a contract extension. Looks like his contract was done. This was his last year, and they're looking for a new coach. I've never been high on Scott Brooks anyway. I'm not a Scott Brooks guy. I've never been high on Scott Brooks, even when he was in where the hell was he? Oklahoma City. I was never a fan of Scott Brooks when he was there at OKC. Pelicans part ways with Stan Van Gundy after 1 year. Also not shocking. The Pelicans finished 31-41 despite having a fantastic roster. They had a great roster. I think this is like a playoff level roster for me. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson should have been able to get you to the playoffs, or at least in the play-in game. But for some reason, that ain't happening. And I don't know why the hell Steven Adams. I don't know why they traded for Steven Adams. They should have just stayed with what's his name? What's that center's name? Jackson Hayes. There it is. Should have stayed with Jackson Hayes this year. But Lonzo Ball put up really good numbers this year. This is his 4th year in the league. 3-point percentage went shot 30% his rookie year, 32% the next year, 37% this year. These are very good 3-point numbers. I wish he would get his assists up. He's a very good passer. He's not as good as passer as his brother LaMelo, but he's a very good passer. I would love to see him get his passing up. As for Brandon Ingram, I believe Ingram got like a career high in points this year. Was it a career? Nah, he averaged the same points last year. But he was an all-star last year, I believe. Yeah, he was an all-star last year. 23.8 points a game, same as last year. Same as last year. 20 points, 4 rebounds. Wait. Hello? What was that? Anyway, about 24 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists from Brandon Ingram. And Zion Williamson, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists this year. Zion doing Zion things. Fantastically improved player. But this should be a playoff team. And I don't think Van Gundy is the right coach for this team. I don't think he's the right coach. I don't know who's going to be the right coach for this team. I know the Magic are looking at Becky Hammon for their head coaching position. Becky Hammon, Jason Kidd. I could care less. I would actually like Jason Kidd in New Orleans, but keep Becky Hammon as far away from that Orlando Magic job as possible. It's not because I don't think a woman can coach. Becky Hammon can hoop. She played professional basketball for years, 6-time All-Star in the WNBA. Under Greg Popovich, she paid her dues. She knows hoops. I would love to see her coaching a head coaching job in the NBA. I just don't want to see her coaching in Orlando. Don't do that to yourself. Becky Hammon may never see this again, but I hope that she doesn't get that job. I hope she gets a better job. I really do maybe hope she gets that San Antonio job when Pop retires. Or maybe she gets this job. Maybe she gets this job in New Orleans. Or maybe she gets the job in Washington. But do not go to Orlando, Becky Hammon. Do not go to Orlando. That is not the right place for you. That place is going to suck the life out of you. Don't do it to yourself. Now let's talk about the All-NBA teams. We're going to start off with the All-First defensive team. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year. Draymond Green, Jrue Holiday, and Ben Simmons. Not surprising. There's not a name on here that's surprising, and there's not a name missing from here that I'm shocked at. These are arguably the 5 best defenders at their position in the NBA. Second team, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, Kawhi Leonard, Matthias Thybulle. Kawhi I'm a little surprised about because I didn't think he played fantastic defense this year. Jimmy Butler I'm not surprised about. I haven't been watching that much Miami Heat basketball, so I was a little surprised by Bam Adebayo. But smarter people who know more about basketball got Bam Adebayo on the second team. No shockers, not anybody I thought should have been, clipped from this team. Now the All-NBA first team, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Kawhi Leonard. Now, if LeBron James had been healthy all year, if LeBron James and Anthony Davis had been healthy all year, I'm trying to think. Probably Kawhi. You would probably end up moving Kawhi to the second team. You probably would have ended up moving Kawhi to the second team instead of having LeBron on the second team. You probably would have swapped those two because I think LeBron would have just had a better year. So Kawhi's spot would have probably gone to LeBron on the first team. But no issues on the first team of the All-NBA. You had 5 legitimate MVP candidates this year. Giannis, Steph, Luka, Nikola, who is the MVP, and Kawhi Leonard. Second team All-NBA, Joel Embiid, LeBron James, Dalen Lillard, Chris Paul, Julius Randle. Julius Randle is the only guy I'm a little about. Because Julius Randle did have a great year. I might have put him on the third team instead of the second team. I might have put Julius Randle on the third team instead of the second team, and I probably would have moved up Jimmy Butler to the second team and put Randle on the third team. As for the third team, Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Kyrie Irving. I would not have put Rudy Gobert on this list. I probably would have moved Rudy Gobert for either Zion Williamson or something. Either Zion Williamson or maybe Ja. But I'm not. You can hear it in my voice. I'm not a Gobert guy. I am not a Rudy Gobert fan. I don't like Rudy. I don't like Rudy's game. I don't like the way Rudy plays. I just don't like Rudy Gobert. I'm not the Rudy Gobert fan in the world. I'm not the Rudy Gobert fan in the room. I don't like Rudy. I really don't. I am patently against paying a guy who can't give me 20 points a night $40 million. I'm just not comfortable with it. And as for Kyrie Irving, his PTO is starting to irritate me. His PTO is probably the reason why he's not on the second team. But Chris Paul deserved to be on the second team. Honestly, he might have deserved to be on the first team. But I'm trying to figure out who I would have moved down. If I had to move someone down from the first team at the guard position, because it's guard, forward, center. Nikola Jokic is the center, I believe. Giannis and Kawhi are the forwards. Steph and Luka are the guards. I would have probably moved Luka to the second team and put Chris on the first team. That's how I would have swapped those. But that's it for that. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to get to UFC. I'm trying to remember what number it was. It was like 266 or something like that. UFC 266 or 256. I forget the number. They up to so many now. It's hard to remember which is which. Give me 1 second. Go past. Yeah, 263. 263. Like I said, we're going to be back in a second. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Took a bit of a break because I kind of needed to. We're going to drop into... Where was I? We're going to drop into some of our top stories real quick. Actually, apparently, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, LaMelo Ball has been voted Rookie of the Year this year. Which isn't all that surprising. He should have won Rookie of the Year. Even though he missed, I want to say, like 20 games this year. He was the best rookie this year. Fantastic. I know Anthony Edwards made a late push, throughout like the latter half of the year. But LaMelo Ball should have been the MVP. No question. No doubt about it. He's the best player. He's the best rookie. Fantastic player. He's got superstar written all over him. He's going to have a full off season this year. This kid is a star. He's better now. He's far better now than his brother was in his rookie year. He might even be better than his brother is this year. I think Lonzo is probably a better defender, but LaMelo is a superstar in the making. I don't know if Lonzo will ever be that, but LaMelo's a superstar in the making. He's going to be one of those kids in a couple years. Stop, don't call him a kid. He's going to be one of those dudes in a couple years like the Ja Morants, like the Donovan Mitchells, who are going to be in that discussion, hopefully in the playoffs, making real noise like Trae Young and Luka Doncic. It's going to take a couple years for the Hornets to put that together, but I can't wait. Now, on my last break, also, hold on, Mavericks essentially fire Donnie Nelson, their longtime GM. He's been with the organization for like 24 years. He drafted Nowitzki and I think Michael Finley and Steve Nash and a lot of those guys. Luka Doncic, the latest and greatest. So hopefully he finds something else later on in his career. But they needed a change in Dallas. Luka was a hell of a lot better, hell of a lot faster than anybody thought he would be. I want to say this is Luka's third year. This was Luka's third year in the league, and he's already one of the 10 best players in the league. Offensively, without a question, he's one of the 10 best players in the league. His offensive game is crazy good, so smooth, so crafty. So I'm assuming they're going to get a new GM, and if they're going to be looking for that number 2, I'm assuming they're going to be looking to move Porzingis, because those two apparently do not get along. Which is surprising because I don't know what the hell Porzingis has to whine and complain and bitch and piss and moan about. But that's that for the NBA. Now, what I was saying the UFC 263 card, Adesanya versus Vettori 2. Now, I watched the main card. I didn't watch the prelims. I didn't watch the early prelims. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. I did watch the highlights of Terrence McKinney and Matt. I don't know how to pronounce his dude's last name, but that 7-second knockout where McKinney gave him that like 4-5 piece straight up. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like the early prelims had Alexis Davis and Penny Kinzad. I have no women's bantamweight bout. I had no idea who any of these. I'm just getting back into mixed martial arts. I am just getting back into mixed martial arts. You got the early prelims, and then you had the prelims on ESPN and ESPN, or was that ESPN Plus? I forget. I did not watch the prelims. Oh, JoJo! If I knew JoJo was on this fight, I would have watched it. If I knew, I love Joanne Calderwood. Love her. I'm a huge fan of JoJo. Looks like this was a split decision. Who won? Oh my God. Strikes by target. Yeah. Distance. Clinch. This was a split decision. Like I said, I didn't watch this fight, so I'm not going to comment on who should have won. But I did watch the entirety of the main card. I watched Jamal Hill and Paul Craig. Paul Craig tore this kid's arm off. It was a bad break too. It was an absolute ridiculous break. The ref should have stopped that a hell of a lot earlier. I mean, Paul Craig, he went into the fight saying, I'm going to test this kid's jiu-jitsu, and he tested him, and Jamal Hill failed the test because he snapped his arm. Big ups to the kid for, not tapping out. He showed his toughness without a question, but still, he should have tapped. And even if he didn't tap, as soon as the ref saw that his arm was broke, his arm was flailing out there. Paul Craig, there was nothing Paul Craig could do. I mean, he had snapped the guy's arm. There's no real use torquing on it anymore if you can't feel it. It was completely dislocated, essentially from like the elbow. It was done. It was just while he was on his back, just hitting him with hammer fists and elbows, and in like a modified triangle. His arm was just flailing out in the wind. Had no real way to defend himself. That as soon as the ref saw his arm was broken, he should have called that fight. Next, we had Damian Maia, UFC legend, against Bali Muhammad. This run went the distance. I didn't really pay attention to this fight. I mean, I watched it, and it was a good 3-round fight, but I was doing something else while I was watching. Now, the Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz fight, 5 rounds. Shout out! It's great to see Nate back in the cage again. Leon Edwards, up and comer. Don't know too much about him. Like I said, I'm just getting back into mixed martial arts, watching this stuff really again and again and again. I missed some time. This was a 5-round brawl. Essentially, Leon Edwards, he won by unanimous decision and should have won by unanimous decisions. I think Nate let him off the hook in the 5th round because he hurt Edwards and he was kind of jaw-jacking instead of, really trying to finish him. Now, the Brandon Moreno, Devinson Figueroa fight, that was interesting because Devinson, these two fought earlier this year, or was it late last year? I forget. But they had a fantastic 5-round just war that ended in a draw. And this fight, Moreno came in and he dominated. He dominated the first 2 rounds. What is that, Devinson? I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but I'm gonna go with Devinson for the first round. But Devinson, also Moreno, first Mexican-born UFC champion. Congratulations to him. He was fantastic in this fight. He was aggressive. He kept the pressure on the champ, and the champ, he seemed very, very tentative in this fight. I don't know why, because in their first fight was so aggressive, so wild. I mean, these two beat the shit out of each other. And in this one, it seemed tentative. I don't know if he was hurt, but he seemed like he just didn't want to. He wasn't ready for this moment, for this stage back in front of fans. And Moreno put it on him and submitted him in the third round with a rear naked choke. That rear naked choke, he had to work for it. Had him in like a body triangle. He was working for it, and it seemed like Davison or Figueroa, whatever, the champ, seemed like, he got lulled while Moreno was trying to get that rear naked choke in, and it looks like he let his guard down for a split second, and Moreno cinched in that rear naked choke and tapped him out. It was a fantastic submission, and it took Moreno a minute to realize, like, the win to, like, sink in, because, like I said, he's the first Mexican born, and by Mexican born, I don't mean like Cain Velasquez. I mean, like, he lives in Mexico. His parents, I heard on the broadcast, his parents own, like, a piñata making business in Mexico. He is Mexican through and through, and I know the UFC's been trying to get a Latin American, trying to get like a Latin American, South American, like, champion that's not Brazilian. That's not Brazilian. He's their first champion, so congratulations to him. As for the Marvin Vettori Israel Adesanya fight, I don't know what. This was a 5-round ass whooping. That's what it was. This was a 5-round ass whooping. At no point in this fight was Israel Adesanya ever in real danger. I mean, there was a moment where Vettori, I think this was in the third round. This was in the second or third round, while Vettori had, Izzy. It looked like he had Izzy in some trouble, and it looked like he might be able to choke Izzy out. It was no real trouble. Izzy switched over, put his hand on his throat, and started, beating the shit out of him. And for some reason, Vettori couldn't. I don't know what the fuck Vettori was doing. I mean, you can't switch stances. Motherfucker spent 5 rounds in one stance. Had his lead leg, I think it was his left leg, in the southpaw stance the whole fight. You're a professional fighter and you can't switch your stance. What the hell is wrong with you? 5 rounds. Kept his lead foot out there all 5 rounds, and Izzy targeted that leg time and time and time and time again. And I know Vettori's been, popping off, like, making excuses. You got beat. You were talking all that shit after the first, talking all that mess, and you came in here flat. There was no real challenge. Vettori got his ass whooped for 5 rounds, and I know Izzy called out, Robert Whittaker for a rematch for their title, for another title fight for Whittaker. Izzy back at 185. He's still undefeated at 185 despite losing to Jan Blachowicz for the UFC light heavyweight championship. But 185 is Izzy's, that's his dominion, that's his playground, and he's starting to clear out the top half of that division. So eventually he's probably going to move up to light heavyweight full time eventually, but right now I think Izzy's like 31. He's got time. He's got like 10 years to do that shit. He's got time. But who else is there left to challenge? I mean, he destroyed Vettori. I don't ever want to see this fight again. I don't want to see Adesanya Vettori 3, because Vettori is showing in this fight proved to me he didn't deserve to be on that cage. He didn't deserve to be in the cage with Adesanya talking all that shit and then get your ass whooped like that. No adjustments. Nothing. Adesanya picked him apart for 5 rounds. Feints, shots, straights, uppercuts, crosses. He demolished him for 5 straight rounds. Vettori did not belong in the cage with Adesanya. He didn't. He was terrible. He was trash. This fight irritates me to an extent that I'm really not comfortable with. This fight truly irritated me. Izzy threw 208 strikes, hit 122 of his 208. Vettori hit 91 of his 221. Significant strike, Izzy 96 of 181. Vettori 58 of 174. Vettori had 4 takedowns, but I mean 4 out of 14 attempts, and I mean this didn't matter. Izzy crushed him. He just did. Izzy crushed him. Izzy crushed him. He's the king at 185, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And honestly, I'm gonna pull up the rankings for the middleweight division. I mean, Robert Whittaker is currently the number 1 ranked contender. Paulo Acosta is number 2. Izzy's already beat both of those guys. I don't want to see him. Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing him beat the shit out of Paulo Acosta one more time. You got Derek Brunson. I wouldn't mind seeing him and Darren Till. And him and Uriah Hall. Him and Kevin Gastelum one more time. Wouldn't mind seeing any of that. Definitely wouldn't mind seeing any of that. As for John Jones, him and the John Jones fight, I wouldn't be shocked. I would be shocked to see that happen anytime soon, because I know John's making the move up to heavyweight. So I would be shocked to see him and John Jones go at it one more time. I just don't think that's gonna happen. I 100% just don't believe it. I do not believe those two can go at it one more time. But as for the champions, you got a new flyweight champion, bantamweight champion, still the same guy, Alexander Volkanovski. Featherweight champ. Charles Oliveira is the lightweight champ. Kamaru Usman, the welterweight champ. Izzy, the middleweight champ. Jan Blachowicz, the light heavyweight champ. Francis Ngannou, the heavyweight champ. Still on the champs. Rose Namajunas, strawweight champion. Valentina Shevchenko, still the flyweight champ. And the lioness herself, the pound-for-pound queen, is the bantamweight and featherweight champ, the only 2-division champion in the UFC currently. Nobody wants the smoke with her. Is there even a featherweight division anymore? Seriously. Is there a featherweight division in the UFC right now? Women's featherweight division. Is there a women's featherweight division? And how is John Jones the top pound for pound number 1? Where not only is he not a champion, John ain't doing. I can't remember the last time John's fought, or the last time John fought and didn't get in trouble for doing some stupid ass shit. Can't stand his ass. Not a big John Jones fan. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this episode of the SJP File Sports Report. I am your host, SJP. And we'll be back again next week with another episode. Maybe an episode later in the week, possibly on the weekend, depending on how the playoffs, the NBA playoffs, shake out. Once again, Ellis Clear My Mind is going to play us out. Have a good week, everybody.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us.